When you think of all the question marks that the Browns have, there's a lot of them on the offensive side of the ball. What are realistic expectations for 2025, do you think?
I think 7 wins, should be realistic. I know the schedule is tough, particularly in the first 6 weeks of the season. I mean, this is just a gauntlet. Bengals at the Ravens, home against the Packers, in Detroit, in London versus the Vikings, at Pittsburgh, and then the easiest game of the season to that point, and then you have Miami week 7. I know there's always going to be questions about the health of Tua Tagovailoa, and that Miami offensive line is going through a remake. But if you get through that relatively unscathed, say you are able to get 2 wins, maybe even three out of that, I think you'd be feeling good to at least have a solid season. And I've said this 1,000 times when I talked about last year's Browns. I feel like the quarterback, I mean, it's pretty obvious the quarterback play was probably the worst in the NFL. And I felt like it was just such a negative that it was like an anchor, just kind of pulled the whole thing down as far as an offense is concerned. And if they had gotten, solid quarterback play outside of the Jameis Winston games, I think you're looking at worst 6 wins. I think, the play of Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson Robinson, I think it was that bad. And I think the fact that, Ken Dorsey's scheme really didn't offer much in terms of a running game, not just in success, but like I said before, at times they didn't even try to run the football. Now that it seems like they're getting back to it, trying to lean on that and make the run, they're trying to make the run game a strength by, drafting Quinshon Judkins, drafting Dylan Sampson, adding another tight end and Harold Fanan Jr. I would think if you make the offense that better, it's going to make the defense better by proxy just because you're giving them more points. You're giving them more of a cushion. You're putting less pressure on them. And again, if you give a defense a lead, it makes it much easier to turn that defense loose. This is where I've always felt like the last 2 years, the strength of this defense has been playing with a lead. So I just feel like with more competent offensive play, particularly the quarterback position, 7 wins just feels should be a realistic possibility. I just think, the play was just so bad at quarterback that it really just distorted our vision of so much on this roster.